Unveiling the shocking struggles, how prehistoric humans survived every day 2.4 million years ago. In a world where crushing darkness surrounds you, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and the sound of wild creatures lurking just outside the flickering light of a fire, prehistoric humans grappled with life in its rawest form. They woke each day, their bodies aching from the geological hustle of survival, with a primal fear thrumming through their veins. What if today was the day? The day that a beast, larger than life itself, would break into their fragile lives. It was a heart-pounding existence, teetering on the edge of life and death every single moment. Imagine this: in the jungle's embrace, they crafted their tools from jagged rocks, chipping away until they had blades sharp enough to dust the edges of nightmares. Their hands shook not out of fear, but from sheer desperation, trembling as they fashioned weapons to fend off dauntless predators and protect their clan. And don't get started on the weather. Heaven help them if a storm rolled over their shelter, the winds howling like banshees, tearing at their flimsy defenses. Hope needed courage, and every dawn offered a new challenge that felt more daunting than the last. Sometimes, whispers would pass between clan members, tales about the strange flickering lights on the horizon. Spirits? Or just the remnants of long-lost storms? No one could tell for sure, but the questions hung heavy, echoing in the still air. They believed those lights were warning signs, a harbinger of doom drawn in electric blue and fiery orange, connecting the ancient worlds to realms unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But on this fateful day, as shadows danced restlessly on the cave walls, something shifted. The air crackled with tension, the ground beneath their feet trembled, and the faintest roar of something unfathomable echoed through the night. An unholy dread coiled in their stomachs, and they reluctantly gathered by the flickering fire. Had the gods betrayed them? Was the train of bad omens finally pulling into their world? With hearts pounding and worries swelling, they readied themselves, but nothing could prepare them for the heartbreaking truth behind that instinctive fear. What were they up against? And who would rise to the challenge when facing the demons of 2 million years past? The night grew denser, a shroud of anticipation settling over the clan as if the very shadows conspired against them. The flickering flames barely illuminated their faces, casting ghostly silhouettes that danced like spirits taunting their fragile resolve. No one spoke. Fear hungrily gnawed at their silence, relentless and palpable. Suddenly, from the deep shadow of the trees, a terrifying roar shattered the stillness. It was a sound that clawed at their very souls, ripping through the air like a knife. Hearts raced. Eyes widened. They grasped their weapons tighter, knuckles bone-white. Stay close. The voice of Kira, the clan's leader, broke the tension like a thread. She stepped forward, emboldened yet trembling. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, but duty tethered her to the ground. They'd survived countless nights, and this would be no different. She needed to believe that, but what could they really face? The night had shifted like the earth beneath their feet, the weight of unseen eyes watching from the dark. Kira inhaled deeply, grounding herself in the moment, yet the stench of fear and sweat filled her lungs. This reality was too big. This beast, whatever it was, felt otherworldly. Remember the stories, whispered Tarek, a younger member of the clan with wide, terrified eyes. The elders spoke of something ancient roaming these lands. Murmurs rippled through the group, a tightening in the air as the fear of the unknown clashed against their dwindling resolve, and then came the sound, the unmistakable crunching of leaves and snapping of branches. It was moving toward them, crashing through the underbrush as if it were a force of nature. The group instinctively huddled closer to the fire, its warmth flickering like their waning hope. Kira forced her gaze into the dark, heart thudding against her ribs like a war drum. Stand together. She commanded, her voice breaking the tension of the moment. The others nodded, pressing back their mounting panic. They raised their crude weapons, chiseling bravery from the stone of fear, even if their hands trembled. What emerged, however, was beyond their imagination. A massive figure, partially cloaked in shadows, moved forward. Its eyes glinted with a feral intelligent hunger. This was no ordinary beast, it was something mythical, its presence imbued with an aura of ancient terror. Kira inhaled sharply, her throat constricting. The creature paused, and every fiber of her being screamed to flee, but she stood firm. Could she lead her people to safety? But just then, a blinding flash lit the night. The flickering lights they had whispered about earlier now ignited the sky. Had the spirits taken notice? The bizarre glow danced in the darkness, swirling like a portal to another world, illuminating the creature for a fleeting moment. Glistening teeth, rippling muscles, and an aura so powerful it felt like madness. Do you see that? Kira's voice trembled. It's coming from beyond. The beast turned its gaze to the lights, and in that split second, the energy shifted. The atmosphere stirred with an intensity that rose high like a tempest. The creature growled dangerously, its eyes fixed on the brilliance hanging above like a weighty promise of chaos or salvation. Then, in a chilling moment of clarity, Kira realized, the lights held the answers, or perhaps a new threat. A shocking thought pierced her mind. What if they were the key to understanding this monster? It was a gamble, an insane leap into the unknown. Kira took a step forward, her heart racing with the thrill of impending discovery. We need to know what it wants. We can't let fear control us. But just as she took another step, the ground quaked violently, and a feeling of dread washed over her. The night had turned against them once more. What awaited them in that throbbing light above? As the creature readied to advance, the question hung in the air: what would they sacrifice for survival? With the beast looming and the strange lights beckoning, Kira steeled herself. The challenge had just begun, but would they rise against the shadows, or be consumed by them? The ground trembled again, a deep rumble echoing through the forest, as if the very earth was warning them. Kira's mind raced, she knew they could not stay frozen. The lights had changed the game. Beneath the shadow of that monstrous figure, the clan was faced with a choice: dare to explore the unknown or remain trapped in the suffocating grip of fear. Follow me. Kira shouted, her voice fierce, slicing through the panic that clung to them. She moved toward the mesmerizing glow, pulling away from the warmth of the fire. The brightness felt alive, pulsating against the dark like a heartbeat. Something twisted inside her, a mixture of fear and a surge of unexplainable curiosity. Tarek hesitated, staring at the beast that loomed closer. His eyes darted between Kira and the creature. Are you crazy? That thing could eat you alive. We stand a better chance together. Kira snapped back, determination hardening her features. She felt the weight of her clan's survival pressing against her chest. With a shuddering breath, Tarek shoved his fear aside and followed Kira. One by one, the others joined, their apprehensive movements creating a chorus of rustling leaves and trembling boots. The beast watched them, its growls echoing like thunder between the trees, each growl reverberating through their bones. As they moved closer to the lights, Kira dared to glance over her shoulder. The creature remained rooted to the spot, fixated on the ethereal brilliance above. There was something enigmatic in its eyes, curiosity or hunger, she couldn't tell. Would it follow? The shimmering lights beckoned them further, shifting like a sentient entity, swirling together in a dance of colors unlike anything Kira had ever seen. It emanated an energy that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Could it truly be a portal or merely an illusion meant to ensnare them? Stay alert, she whispered, her voice almost lost in the rustle of the leaves overhead. Just then, the air around them began to hum, vibrating with an electric charge that danced down her spine. Her pulse quickened. Was it fear or anticipation that gripped her? Tarek reached out, and as if compelled, the light mirrored his movement, flickering in response. A collective gasp erupted from the clan. The lights shifted forms, revealing patterns that seemed almost familiar, weaving tales older than time. Images flickered, ancient tools, towering herds, a glimpse of what their ancestors must have seen. The creature rumbled again, and the vibration reverberated within them. Another quake shook the ground, yet they pressed on, drawn to the luminosity as if it held the secrets of their survival. "What is this place?" murmured one of the older clan members, her voice laced with alarm. "I don't know," Kira replied, "but I think it might be connected to the beast. It's trying to tell us something." And just as those words left her lips, the creature lunged forward, surprising them. Its massive form moved with a speed that defied its size. Fear jolted through Kira's body, yet she stood her ground, eyes locked on the creature's piercing gaze. At that moment, the glow exploded into a kaleidoscope of colors, illuminating the woods, an eruption of raw power that made Kira's heart race. Everything around them shimmered, vibrating with energy. For a heartbeat, time stood still, then darkness slashed through the brilliance, pulling Kira back. The glow faded momentarily, and the beast froze in place, its muscles tensing like a coiled spring. Kira felt the pull of the light, urging her to resolve this terrifying encounter. Yet, beneath that urge, apprehension crawled up her spine. What if this was merely a facade? What if the light held treachery, endangering everything sacred? The questions swirled like a storm in her mind, and a chilling thought pierced through. Had they awakened something far worse? As silence engulfed them, the creature took a step closer. But would it come for them in a fury, or was it still tethered to whatever that radiant mystery promised? Kira's breath quickened. They were teetering on the brink. Would they tumble into chaos, or was there hope? The answer lay in the approaching darkness, and she could feel its weight pressing down like a vice. What awaited them in that swirling light? Would they discover the truth or unleash unfathomable horrors? The ground shook violently beneath their feet, a warning of danger they could hardly comprehend. Kira's heart thundered in her chest as the pulsating light flickered ominously, casting wild shadows in the dim, eerie twilight. The beast, now mere feet away, let out a guttural roar, its breath hot and heavy. "Run!" someone shouted, and chaos erupted as the clan instinctively scattered, adrenaline flooding their veins, but Kira remained rooted, her gaze locked on the now motionless creature. The lights pulsed rhythmically, syncing with her racing heart, and she felt an almost magnetic draw toward it. She desperately wanted answers, needed to understand why they were here. Tarek's voice cut through her thoughts. "Kira! We need to go!" he shouted, urgency piercing through the terror that stitched her feet to the ground. Kira turned, glancing back at her clan. Yet, the lights beckoned like a siren's call, promising hope amid the dread. "We can't just leave. We have to figure this out," she shouted back, the mix of fear and determination spurring her on. Suddenly, the beast shifted, and a blast of air surged past them. The creature's eyes glimmered with an alien intelligence. The group halted, entranced. The focus of the beast's gaze seemed to shift from Kira to the lights, as if it too felt the pull. Kira's conviction burned bright within her. "Maybe it wants us to see," she exclaimed, stepping forward further into the luminescence, her fingers reaching out. The light flickered in response, and the air hummed, intensifying in an electric pulse. A chill spread through her as she recalled the tales of ancient warriors who had faced mythical creatures, warriors who had faced their fears. "Together!" she shouted. "We have to see this through." Slowly, the clan members approached, hearts pounding like drums in their chests, hesitant but driven by the allure of the glowing shapes forming overhead. With caution, they gathered around, their breath caught in their throats. Kira closed her eyes, letting herself feel the pulse of energy. She opened them to witness the lights morphing into intricate images, tribesmen, long-forsaken battles, and ancestors who whispered truths forgotten by time. It was as if the history of their people was bleeding through, intertwining with the present. "Do you see that?" Tarek whispered, all lacing his voice. "It's telling us something." But before she could respond, the beast lunged forward again, this time quicker, unexpectedly. Instinctively, Kira stepped back, her heartbeat crashing against her ribs. As the creature moved, the lights pulsated violently. They began to unravel in chaotic bursts, the beautiful colors twisting into sinister shapes, and shadows danced like wraiths around them. The harmony betrayed by the chaos sent a flood of cold dread spiraling down Kira's spine. She veered away, her instincts screaming at her to flee, but she felt the weight of the clan behind her. They were in this together, and she couldn't abandon them. Back to the fire, she shouted, urgency ringing clear. We need to regroup. As they retreated, the beast followed with heavy footsteps, its growl echoing in the silence around them. The lights faded but not before flickering a last, warning flash. It felt like a door closing behind them, sealing whatever truth they might have unveiled from reaching the world once more. In the distance, the forest dimmed, the pull of the glowing light still whispering promises in Kira's ears. Were they simply running from answers, or had they truly broken something, a sacred bond only the ancient could comprehend? As they reached the fire, Kira turned back to face the darkness creeping in, clutching the hope blooming inside her. What truths lingered in that fading light? What supernatural force had they danced with the very foundation of their existence? Was the beast merely a guardian, or were they now entwined in a struggle against an unyielding fate? And as the shadows of the forest closed in, one thought crystallized in Kira's mind: they had only just begun to scratch the surface of a powerful, undeniable truth. The fire crackled wildly as they gathered around it, each member of the clan panting, recovering from their frantic retreat. Kira's heart hammered not just from fear, but from an undeniable urge to confront the darkness creeping around them. She could still feel the pulse of the lights in her bones, a thrum that left her wondering what they had narrowly escaped. Did you see what it showed us? Tariq's voice trembled, but there was a spark of determination in his eyes. It wasn't just shadows and tales. It was a warning. Yes, Kira replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But a warning about what? She wiped the sweat from her brow, feeling its stickiness against her skin. What do we know about the beast? What does it really want? The fire flickered, illuminating the faces of her clan, each filled with uncertainty. Some were still caught in shock at the sight of the beast, its alien presence looming larger in their minds than in the frightening moment they faced. Kira raked her hand through her hair, trying to gather her thoughts. We need to understand that creature and the light. It holds answers. Joran, a sharp-eyed scout from the clan, shifted uneasily. What if the light is the problem? It drew us in. It's linked to that thing. He pointed to the darkened forest, where the shadows moved like restless spirits. The tension was almost palpable, murmurs flitted through the air like gnats, confirming his fear. No. Kira felt a surge of frustration. If we don't uncover what it is warning us about, we'll never truly be free. It could be the key to our survival. We've battled every kind of danger out there, but this is different. As she spoke, a chill traveled through the campsite. The night air grew heavier. The beast's growl echoed in the distance, a reminder that whatever lay outside the circle of firelight wasn't simply going to vanish. A howl followed, the sound sharp and taunting, stirring the very marrow in Kira's bones. Maybe it's not a guardian after all, murmured Senna, an elder who had always retained a keen insight. Perhaps it's more of a warden, testing us. What if it's here to challenge our deepest fears? Fear rippled through the clan as they exchanged frightened glances. We must face it, Kira declared, emboldened by the intensity of her vision. We can't let fear dictate our lives. The embers glowed brighter as she spoke. One by one, hesitantly at first, the clan members nodded. Each heartbeat, every flicker of the fire seemed to echo Kira's resolve. They needed to unveil the truth buried in the depths of the forest, and the answers were beyond the flames, but just as she felt their shared courage igniting, the ground trembled again. A low rumble rolled through the earth, shaking their resolve. The beast was closer, and with it came a crash of branches breaking, sending a wave of panic through them. We're not alone. Tarek shouted as the moon illuminated a figure moving swiftly through the trees, illuminated just enough to catch a glimpse of twisted limbs and gleaming eyes. It was smaller than the beast but equally menacing, darting between the shadows. "What now?" Joran whispered, eyes wide. Kira met the gaze of her clan, adrenaline coursing through her. "We confront it. Together. Whatever it is, we face it as one." As they readied themselves, the creature burst from the underbrush, revealing jagged teeth glinting like stars in the dark night. It charged, and Kira knew every second counted. The night thickened with tension, and the swamp of fear they had waded through began to boil to the surface. Would this be their stand, or their downfall? With horror coiling in her chest, Kira took a step forward. What terrors awaited them? They had never been further from the truth or closer to their reckoning. Before their collective determination could coalesce into action, a blinding light engulfed them, ripping through the fabric of reality. What would they discover in that dazzling, terrifying moment? The blinding light receded as quickly as it had come, leaving Kira and her clan disoriented. The world around them shimmered and blurred, like a painting left too long in the rain. Kira blinked rapidly, trying to regain her focus. Slowly, shapes began to materialize, the shadows of the trees morphing into solid trunks, but they weren't where they had been moments before. Instead of their familiar campsite, the clan stood in an open field bathed in an eerie glow. The moon hung large and bright, casting strange shadows that danced unnaturally. A heavy mist rolled along the ground, creeping closer, wrapping around their legs like icy tendrils. What just happened? Tarek's voice quivered, eyes darting around. Are we still alive? We are, Kira asserted, though confusion rattled her insides. But we've been taken somewhere or perhaps shown something. Her gaze swept across her clan. Fear twisted the lines of their faces, eyes wide as they absorbed the alien landscape. A low rumble echoed once again, not from the forest this time but from beneath their feet. The ground shivered ominously, and every single heart in the group throbbed in unison. What do we do? Joran asked, panic coloring his tone. We have to get back. No. Kira breathed, feeling an unfathomable weight in her chest. Listen, the answers we seek might be here. It's like the beast is trying to guide us or warn us. As if in response to her words, the ground shook violently, sending a shock of urgency through Kira. She glanced at the trees nearby and noticed something moving, a figure cloaked in that same dark mist. As it drew closer, Kira's heart leapt into her throat. It was a silhouette, familiar yet grotesquely twisted, suggesting both the beast they had glimpsed and something else altogether, a reflection of their own fears. Back to back. Kira shouted, evening her breath. The clan formed a tight circle, their hands clasped, eyes glued to the encroaching figure. It stepped into the moonlight, and gasps escaped their lips. What stood before them was a monstrous version of themselves, hunched and gnarled, with eyes that twinkled with malice. Its jagged teeth were grinning, but its presence threatened to strangle them with fear. Face it. Kira screamed, heart pounding fiercely. This is not just a creature, it's a manifestation, a test of who we are. The creature laughed, a cruel, guttural sound that echoed and reverberated within them, rippling their very essence. You fear what you will become, it taunted, its voice sliding through Kira's mind like ice. Doubt will consume the weak. You cannot escape. The confidence she had felt moments ago began to waver, and she clenched her fists to hold on to the courage swirling around her. We are not weak. Kira yelled, her resolve igniting anew. We are a clan. We will not turn on each other or ourselves. The creature lunged, and before Kira could react, Joran stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. We face it together. He cried, taking Kira's words and amplifying their meaning. As they rallied against the specter of their fears, the fog around them began to swirl violently, transforming into angry tendrils, each one whispering their insecurities. You will fail, you will be lost. The choir of doubt grew thunderous, drowning out their earlier shouts of defiance. Yet, Kira felt something shift. A flicker of hopeful light danced in her chest, forming an invisible shield against the darkness. "Stand firm," she commanded. "We are stronger than this." Together, they charged at their fears, each determined to embrace the shadows rather than shy away. A wave of energy surged from their united hearts, a force that shattered the darkness closing in. Yet, just as it seemed victory was graspable, the creature reeled back, transforming into a colossal beast again, 10 times more fearsome. What would they discover in this new fight? Would they remain united, or would their fears pull them apart like brittle thread? Kira felt the bittersweet taste of dread. The true confrontation had only begun. The beast's roar sliced through the night, sending reverberations coursing through the field. Kira instinctively stepped backward, her breath quickening. The creature towered over them, a grotesque amalgamation of their own worst traits: doubt, anger, and despair embodied into a single, terrifying presence. "It's too strong," Tarek exclaimed, scrambling to hold his ground. "We can't defeat that. We have to believe." Kira shouted, panic clawing at her throat. The mist curled around them, thickening the air, intent on smothering the light they had just ignited. Each member of the clan felt it, that creeping horror that whispered their failures, urging them to flee or fall. As the creature lunged forward, jaws wide, Kira couldn't afford to hesitate. "Focus on your strengths," she yelled, drawing upon the spirit of unity they had built through countless challenges. "Remember how we've overcome together. Use that power." With a primal scream, she surged forward, the clan rallying behind her. Hands gripped as they mirrored her resolve. Tarek reached for his slingshot, while Joran pulled back an arrow, ready to strike. Kira's heart thundered in her chest, alive with anticipation, but just as they prepared for a final stand, the ground trembled again, and the beast morphed, twisting and transforming almost as if it were listening. Its grotesque form fractured, revealing flashes of familiar faces linking back to painful memories buried deep. "You are what you fear most," it hissed, its voice slithering around them. "You think you've escaped, but you will always be bound to your past." Kira felt the sting of truth in its words. Images flooded her mind: moments of failure, of betrayal, lost friends, and the suffocating weight of expectations. Her spirit faltered, doubt gnawed at her resolve. "No," she whispered, shaking her head, fighting back the tempest of emotions. "We are not defined by our past." Emboldened by her defiance, a surge of warmth spread through the clan. They stepped forward together, still locked in their circle, breaking the fog's suffocating grip. Kira could see Joran's determination burn brightly, a shield against the encroaching darkness. She felt Tarek's hand steady beside her, resolute against the fear that gripped his heart. "Remember the times we've fought side by side," Joran shouted, his voice climbing above the encroaching shadows. "Each scar, each loss, we wear them as badges of honor." The creature recoiled momentarily, as if the very power of their unity was a tangible threat. Instinctively, Kira raised her arms high and channeled her energy into a powerful wave. It sparked like electricity, curling around the clan and into the night. The mist shivered at the edges, resisting the light they had ignited. "That's it," Tarek exclaimed, catching on. "We're stronger united than alone. Together, we push back." With synchronized determination, the clan surged forward, a torrent of light pushing against the monstrous figure. The creature roared, an agonizing sound that echoed in every heart. The ground shook beneath them, but their fear morphed into a wildly fierce strength, giving them the power to stand firm. It was now or never, but just as they began to overcome the beast's form, a blinding flash enveloped their surroundings, splitting the ground and splitting their focus. In an instant, the world shifted again as if the fabric of reality had torn apart, leaving each member disoriented once more. With a deafening pop, silence enveloped them. "Are we where are we?" Kira whispered, struggling to catch her breath, the landscape morphing once again around them. The clan looked around, sense of foreboding thick as the heavy mist wrapped tighter, smothering their courage. "Something is watching us," replied Joran, tension coiling in his voice. "What did we just unleash?" The air trembled, and for a fleeting moment, Kira sensed a gaze locked upon them, cold and unyielding. This wasn't over. The beast had retreated, but remnants of its darkness hung in the air. What will it take to truly confront this? Kira wondered, heart pounding, as shadows danced around them again. She could see only disarray ahead, and the unsettling weight of trepidation settled in her stomach. With the revelation swirling in her mind, she braced herself for what lay ahead. Another confrontation loomed, waiting in the threads of darkness that still flickered ominously. The horizon twisted and turned, and fear gripped her once more. What awaited them in this new reality? Would they be strong enough to face an even darker truth? The silence shattered, replaced by an unsettling low hum that vibrated through the air. Kira squinted into the darkness, sensing something new lingering just out of sight. The mist thickened, swirling like a living creature intent on devouring them whole. Tarek turned sharply, eyes darting, searching for a source of the encroaching sound. "Kira, what is happening?" he breathed, panic grasping at his throat. The backdrop morphed, shadows entwining into grotesque forms reminiscent of their past struggles. Just as the beast had hinted, they were not free from the memories it had conjured. The air grew heavy with the weight of unshakable guilt and remorse. A frigid whisper slipped through the darkness, curling around Kira's heart. "You think you've escaped? You still carry your burdens." "Not true!" Kira shouted, her voice fierce, echoing against the doubt that loomed. "We have overcome. We are stronger." Joran stepped beside her, determination in his gaze. "Together. We're not just our past. We're everything we've fought for." His conviction was a thread of steel, binding them tighter against the shadows. But Kira could still feel the beast's breath, hot against her neck, like shadows suddenly wrapping around her body. "It knows our fears, all of them." Tarek clenched his fists, his resolve unyielding. "We must harness those fears. Turn them around. Stand firm, everyone." A pulse of energy flowed through the clan, one by one grasping hands, steadying breaths, summoning the strength they had built together. The silhouettes shifted again, monstrous echoes from their history flickering into view. "Remember the wars we waged?" Kira murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Every scar is proof of our survival. Not just ours, but for each other as well." Suddenly, the hum transformed into an agonizing crescendo, the world constricted around them, and the shadows warped into a flood of memories. Screams echoed and hearts bled in anguish, but with each breath, Kira and her friends began weaving their own stories into the fabric of this dark storm. "Fight with light!" she cried, lifting her arms as if she could create a barrier between them and the chaos. A wave of energy pulsed, sparks igniting in the weighty air. The mist began to dissipate, but so too did the unity. The deeper they ventured, the more they felt themselves splintering apart. "I can't hold it!" Kira yelled, exhaustion creeping beneath her skin. "Stay close. We're stronger together." Glimmers of doubt occasionally slipped through like dagger points, each member struggling not just with the creature, but with shadows of their own insecurities. Tarek faltered, eyes darting between them, the weight of his self-judgment dragging him down. "No," Joran urged, stepping forward. "You're not alone in this. Not anymore." But just as Tarek reached for them, a crack tore through the ground, a feral roar rising up, echoing their fears. The beast had returned, more formidable, morphing into an embodiment of their deepest vulnerabilities. "Look at you!" it bellowed, its voice dripping with derision. "All this bravery, and yet when the darkness comes knocking, you crumble. You will never escape your past." Each word struck like lightning, wrapping around Kira's chest with icy fingers. She felt her breath catch. There was truth in its words. How many times had they stumbled under the weight of their stories? "No!" she screamed, tears filling her eyes. "We're not here to be defined by you." And with a primal force, Kira thrust her hands forward, channeling every scrap of hope, every flicker of their shared victories into one blazing light. The force pushed against the creature, illuminating the darkness that threatened to devour them whole. But the moment hung like a thread, and shadows writhed, twisting tighter around them. Kira could feel the energy vibrating. Was it enough? And then, without warning, a thundering crash erupted from the horizon, splintering the air. Kira's heart raced. What now? In the vast expanse beyond, a far greater shadow loomed. What new horrors awaited them? Would they rise or fall when faced with a threat even more devastating than before? As the thundering crash faded into the distance, a wave of cold dread rolled through Kira. The light she had summoned flickered, waning against the oppressive shadows. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air was thick with foreboding. The beast, momentarily repelled, hesitated, but its sinister grin never left its murky visage. What was that? Tarek whispered, his voice breaking like brittle glass under pressure. Kira's heart pounded. She reluctantly turned to face the looming darkness. I don't know. But we have to prepare. We can't give in now. The shadow stretched across the horizon, pulsing as if it were alive, each movement whispering threats in their ears. Joran clenched Kira's hand tighter, offering his silent support as they surveyed the chaos. The mist was no longer just a shrouded veil but a living entity, swirling and elusive, ready to ensnare them if they faltered. With each passing moment, the pressure tightened around them, smothering their resolve. Kira could barely breathe. We need to make a stand. Right now. We can't let it divide us. The beast reformed from the shadows, its voice deep and rumbling. You think this is just about your past? You are standing on the brink of oblivion. What comes next is a storm you cannot face alone. Just as Kira opened her mouth to respond, the shadows behind the beast writhed and twisted, revealing echoes of their past failures, times they had buried yet carried like stones in their hearts. Kira shuddered as memories washed over her, battles lost, friends betrayed, trust shattered. Each image hit like a punch, tearing at her resolve. No. She cried out defiantly. We have power in our unity. Behind every failure, we discovered our strength. We learned. We grew. But the beast only laughed, a cacophony that rattled their bones. Strength? You're teetering on the edge of despair like balancing bricks. Welcome to the unending cycle of pain. He beckoned with elongated fingers, and the shadows surged forward, trying to engulf the four of them, seeking to tear the bond they had forged. Kira felt it, the weight of doubt as it trickled into her veins, whispering insidiously, sowing seeds of hatred against herself and her failures. Suddenly, the thundering crash returned, echoing like a drum. A fissure tore through the ground just behind them, revealing a bubbling chasm of darkness. Kira froze, a paralyzing fear gripping her heart. It was as if the very earth had opened to swallow them whole. Run! Tarek shouted, breaking the spell. They turned on their heels, instinctively fleeing from the expanding void that threatened to consume them. But just as they raced forward, Kira stumbled, terror clawing at her throat. She felt a cold claw of despair clamp down, her past rising up like a wave. Memories of abandonment, guilt, and failure surged forward, dragging her down. Don't let it in. Joran shouted, reaching back for her, his eyes filled with urgency. You are stronger than it knows. We all are. Kira fought against the darkness closing in, pushing out the memories. With a fierce yell, she channeled every painful moment into a flicker of warmth. We will not be broken. The shadows recoiled as Joran and Tarek each took hold of her hands, forming a chain of light. The grip of their bond rekindled hope, vibrating through the void of despair engulfing her. Just then, a blinding light erupted above the chasm, a sudden burst that ripped through the encroaching darkness as thunder roared and the air crackled with energy. They all stared up in awe. It seemed like the sun had returned from a long absence, illuminating everything it touched, but in that moment of confusion, another terrifying truth emerged. A new threat was coming from above, overshadowing the brightness with a deeper darkness that engulfed it quickly. It was looming larger and more ominous than before. What is that? Kira gasped, feeling her heart sink with dread. Whatever it is, we need to face it together. Joran declared, meeting her gaze with steeled resolve, the collective fear mingled with a fierce determination as the true battle loomed. They could either stand and fight, or run and risk losing everything they had built, but could they find the strength to confront a darkness greater than their own? The very essence of their bond trembled at the threshold of an unknown horror. Would they rise united, or succumb to another wave of shadows that threatened to envelop their future? The cacophony of chaos enveloped them. Kira could feel the primal thrum of energy pulsing through her veins, a powerful reminder that they were not alone in this fight. They had come so far, faced so many fears, yet the darkness above loomed larger than ever, threatening to rip apart everything they had fought for. "Stand firm!" Kira shouted, her voice piercing the heavy air. "We've conquered battles before. This time will be no different." It echoed with unwavering confidence, each word a rallying cry against the encroaching despair. The clan tightened their circle, each person's eyes reflecting a mixture of trepidation and resolve. Tarek raised his slingshot high, his determination a mixture of fear and fierce loyalty. Joran pulled back his bowstring, muscles tensing, ready to unleash hope against the darkness. Kira's heart thrummed in sync with theirs, a pulse of unity that bound them together in a formidable force. With a thunderous roar, the immense shadow crashed down, casting a veil of despair over them. It was time to confront the truth of their past, the truths the beast had desperately sought to drown them in. Kira could feel the memories clawing at her, whispering deceitfully of failures and lost hopes. "Remember why we're here," she urged, locking eyes with Tarek and Joran. "Those memories don't define us, they've prepared us." But the darkness pressed in, whispers echoing through the air, "Your past is a chain that binds you. You cannot break free." Each proclamation was like a hammer, seeking to shatter their unity. "No!" Kira cried, summoning the warmth of solidarity. "Together, we can harness the remnants of our past. They are lessons, not anchors." The beast above rumbled, its form shifting, wavering as if contemplating its next move. Kira felt the resolve of her clan surge in unison with her. "Focus on each other," she yelled. "We are stronger together than we ever were apart." The solidarity forged by their struggles sparked a strength she had never known, igniting something deep in her core. Suddenly, Tarek stepped forward, eyes blazing with determination. "This is our moment. We are not just survivors, we are warriors. We will not let fear swallow us whole again." At his words, Kira felt the chains that threatened to bind them fracture, splintering in the shimmering light generated by their unity. She raised her arms, channeling that energy, a golden glow radiating from their joined hands, illuminating the encroaching shadows. "Let our past be our light." The darkness hesitated, seemingly disturbed by their collective strength. From the horizon, the golden glow swelled, igniting the thick air with courage. The tension twisted like a coiled spring, ready to be released. "Now!" Kira shouted, galvanizing the clan to unleash their collective will. In unison, they propelled the light forward, a cascading wave of brilliance that soared toward the monstrous shape hovering above. The shadows convulsed, recoiling at the magnitude of their unity, every ounce of doubt and fear shedding like mist, dissolving into nothingness. That a deafening roar filled the space, but this time it was the roar of a creature in retreat. The towering shadows twisted and shrank back, as if the light were a force far greater than any fear they had faced. The very fabric of the darkness began to tear. With a final push, Kira channeled the deepest commitment she had ever known into the light. "We are more than what we remember. We are the love we carry, the friendships forged in battle, the family we've chosen." In an electrifying burst, the beam of light collided with the shadow, shattering it like fragile glass. The air shook violently, the resonance of their unity twinkling like starlight. The heavy mist began lifting, the darkness dispelling like the remnants of a bad dream. With a blinding flash, the real world returned, cleansing the darkness once and for all. The clan stood, feeling warmth pouring through them, the weight of unresolved burdens lifted like a heavy coat. They breathed deep, hearts wild but free. "We did it!" Tarek gasped, his smile radiant, eyes brimming with tears of joy. We faced it. Together. Kira looked around, witnessing the fierce glimmers of hope igniting in their eyes. Not just together, she said softly. We faced our truths. And that's what gave us strength. As the night settled into tranquility, Kira felt the bond among them stronger than any fear. They had survived and emerged from the darkness, purged of the demons that once plagued them. Hope blazed in their hearts like a fleet of stars filling the sky, and in that moment, she knew their story was far from over. They stood together, unified under a vast expanse of glowing stars, ready to embrace the challenges ahead, no longer chained to their past but free to write their future. As she looked upward, the cosmos painted a canvas of endless possibilities, whispering silently of the adventures yet to come. Kira smiled, heart full of fire. It was a dawn of a new beginning, but don't forget about your journey. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together we can continue to explore incredible stories.